Hello everyone, are you ready for the next chapter of our story? George is just about to give Grandma the medicine he has made. I wonder what's going to happen. The next chapter is called Grandma Gets the Medicine. Grandma sat hunched in her chair by the window. The wicked little eyes followed George closely as he crossed the room towards her. "You're late," she snapped. "I don't think I am, Grandma." "Don't interrupt me in the middle of a sentence," she shouted. "But you'd finished your sentence, Grandma." "There you go again," she cried. "Always interrupting and arguing. You really are a tiresome little boy. What's the time?" "It's exactly 11 o'clock, Grandma." "You're lying as usual. Stop talking so much and give me my medicine. Now shake the bottle first, then pour it into the spoon and make sure it's a whole spoonful." "Are you going to gulp it all down in one go?" George asked her, "or will you sip it?" "What I do is none of your business," the old woman said. "Fill up the spoon." George removed the cork and began very slowly to pour the thick brown stuff into the spoon. He couldn't help thinking back upon all the mad and marvellous things that had gone into the making of this crazy stuff. The shaving soap and the hair remover, the dandruff cure, the automatic washing machine powder, the flea powder for dogs, the shoe polish, the black pepper, the horseradish sauce, and all the rest of them, not to mention the powerful animal pills and powders and liquids, and the brown paint. "Open your mouth wide, Grandma," he said, "and I'll pop it in." The old woman opened her small wrinkled mouth and tried to do it, showing disgusting pale brown teeth. "Here we go," George cried out. "Swallow it down." He pushed the spoon well into her mouth and tipped the mixture down her throat. Then he stepped back to watch the results. It was worth watching. Grandma yowled, "Owie!" and her whole body shot up, whoosh, into the air. It was exactly as though someone had pushed an electric wire through the underneath of her chair and switched on the current. Up she went like a jack-in-the-box. She didn't come down. She stayed there, suspended in mid-air, about 2 feet up, still in a sitting position, but rigid now, frozen, quivering, the eyes bulging, the hair standing straight on end. "Is something wrong, Grandma?" George asked her politely. "Are you all right?" Suspended up there in space, the old woman was beyond speaking. The shock that George's marvellous mixture had given her must have been tremendous. You'd have thought she'd swallowed a red-hot poker the way she took off from that chair. And there's a picture here of Grandma in the air, still looking like she's sitting after having taken the medicine. Then down she came again with a plop back into her seat. Call the fire brigade," she shouted suddenly. "My stomach's on fire." "It's just the medicine, Grandma," George said. "It's good, strong stuff." "Fire!" yelled the old woman. "Fire in the basement! Get a bucket! Man the hoses! Do something quick!" "Cool it, Grandma," George said, but he got a bit of a shock when he saw the smoke coming out of her mouth and out of her nostrils too. Clouds of black smoke were coming out of her nose and blowing around the room. "By golly, You really are on fire, George said. Of course I'm on fire, she yelled. I'll be burned to a crisp. I'll be fried to a frazzle. I'll be boiled like a beetroot. George ran into the kitchen and came back with a jug of water. Open your mouth, Grandma, he yelled. He could hardly see her for the smoke, but he managed to pour half a jugful down her throat. A sizzling sound, the kind you get if you hold a hot frying pan under the cold tap, came up from deep down in Grandma's stomach. The old woman bucked and shied and snorted, and she gasped and gurgled, and spouts of water came shooting out of her. And the smoke cleared away. Oh, the fire's out, George announced proudly. You'll be all right now, Grandma. All right, she yelled. Who's all right? There's Jackie jumpers in my tummy. There are squigglers in my belly. And there are bangers in my bottom. And she began bouncing up and down in the chair. Quite obviously, she was not very comfortable. You'll find it's doing you a lot of good, that medicine, Grandma, George said. Good? She screamed. Doing me good? It's killing me. And then she began to bulge. She was swelling. That means getting bigger. She was puffing up all over. Someone was pumping her up, just like a balloon. That's how it looked. Was she going to explode? Her face was turning purple to green. But wait, she had a puncture somewhere. George could hear the hiss of escaping air. She stopped swelling. She was going down. She was slowly getting thinner again, shrinking back and back slowly to her usual shrivelly self. How are things, Grandma? George said. Then a funny thing happened. Grandma's body gave a sudden sharp twist and a sudden sharp jerk, and she flipped herself clear out of the chair and landed neatly on her 2 feet on the carpet. Oh, that's terrific, Grandma, George cried. You haven't stood up like that for years. Look at you. You're standing up all on your own. And you're not even using your stick. Grandma didn't hear him. The frozen, pop-eyed look was back with her again. She was miles away in another world. Marvellous medicine, George told himself. He found it fascinating to stand there watching what it was doing to the old woman. What would happen next, he wondered. Right. I'm going to stop it there. There's a few pages until the end of the chapter, so we'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out what happens. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.